No, that white Jesus, I don't believe in that.
So what do I believe in?
Yeah.
That's the question. What do you believe in?
Ask an auntie oracle what you want to know. Ask an auntie oracle.
Hello, everyone. Do you guys like our new shindig? We are out here in West Oakland, across the street from Lil Bobby Hutton Park, home of the Black Panther Party. We chilling in the backyard of Anika's place, and so that's why this is also a very special episode. We've never done this before, aside from not being in Mary's living room as per usual. We're in a different scene, very colorful. The vibe is good. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping, and
The cats are lurking.
The
cats are the constant.
are the audience. And the intention for this episode today is to be in conversation with Anika. You will not see them in front of the camera. They are still behind the camera, but this time they're going to be sharing things that's on their mind, bringing up a question or something that they would like guidance around. Anika, do you want to let the people know that you're here real quick?
Hello.
So if y'all don't know, Anika is our video collaborator. Anika does all the video editing for Ask an Auntie Oracle from the very, very start. So it just felt really fitting that now that we've been doing this for more than a year, to include Anika in one of these recordings as part of this team that made this even possible, this vision of Mary's to become a reality.
Content creator.
Oh yeah, that was not necessarily my dream, but I support their dream.
Yes,
and you know, I can yap. You y'all know that by this time. So having Anika here as part of this dream, this vision, really helped make it like intergenerational, which has always been the intention for Ask an Auntie Oracle. Yes. 3 generations are represented here: Gen Z, Anika, Millennial, me, Gen X for Mary. We also had the intention of asking the community, like, what is something that they're processing and navigating that they would like some support or guidance around, and and Mary and I would share what we've been through, and that's what we want to continue to do, and be in intentional conversation with our community with that around that. So Anika's here to ask what they would like guidance around today. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Mary, about our intentions for today's episode?
That's everything. It's feeling very expansive, and it's feeling like also full circle to have the 3 generations together today, which makes it intergenerational. We need a
magical, powerful
minimum of 3 generations.
That's 75 years.
Hey,
minimum
and
represented.
So it feels just it feels really good. It feels really grounded.
So I'll pass it to Anika and kind of give context around what it is that they were asking us today.
Okay, hey y'all. I'm just a voice, but maybe I'll put my face on the screen in post production. But I think a question that has been lingering in my brain, and it's just been like heavy on the heart recently, has been around ancestors. I am 24 years old currently, and I feel that my adoptee journey, my political adoptee journey, is something that has really been developing this past 2 years, or past year or so, and it feels like with recognizing an adoptee identity as a political identity also comes just like, what does it look like to connect with ancestors as an adoptee who was an international closed case, meaning that I was not born in the US, and I also have no access to any records. And so, for me that looks like just the eternal wonderings, but more specifically like trying to take that grief of knowing that I will never know and turning that into like a practice of culture, and like what can that really look like while still honoring ancestors, even if I have no image or name or where I may even like actually literally be from. And so my question for these very insightful aunties is like, what was your journey with religion and spirituality and belief? So my question, in summary, my question is like, what was your journey with religion, belief, and spirituality? What led you to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, that really resonates with me for sure. It's really interesting because you literally bridge, I think, both extremes or both parts of the flip sides of the coin. It was really interesting to grow up also in the Deep South, which is very, very ultra Christian, like Southern Baptist, evangelical. I mean, it is the Black variation of white Christian nationalism. And my journey started relatively young because by the time I was 9 years old, I felt incredible discomfort and incredibly ill at ease going to church. And one of the reasons I felt ill at ease was because I was very curious. I continued to be very curious. And so one of my earliest experiences with like having a sense of a presence and energy, not this white Jesus or big sky daddy, white father in the clouds with a beard and a white robe, just white, right? Monochromatic white. I had it in my room, and it was very much an internal experience. And so I would often be like, I would say, well, why? You know, like, I know what my name is. I know I'm this. I know I'm, you know, born into this family and who my family is. But who am I really? I was very curious. As soon as I asked the question and I got curious, it was almost like it gave this door inside of me to open up, inside of myself to open up. And I said, oh crap. Why am I here? I don't want to be a two-legged again. I know that. I don't want to be a human again. I know that, like, I was like, oh crap. And it's like, well, that's part of the reason why you're back here. I mean, I was not. I'd never heard of reincarnation. I just, right. And I just knew that I felt so ill at ease when I would go to church. And so for me, the journey for me has always been one at every point of the journey that starts with curiosity. The second part has always been really feeling the grief, feeling the confusion, feeling this dissonance that had me after a church service in a corner, completely breaking down and bawling my eyes out, hiding behind a curtain. And it wasn't because, like, Episcopalians are known for being very intellectual, it's all of these things, but like this, we're fourth generation Episcopalian, which means that this is the religion of our enslavers. And so there was this very intentional stripping away or attempted stripping away of the language and our actual, what the spiritual practices, our dance, our food, and yet somehow it transferred over across the Atlantic. Somehow it continues to live inside. The two things that have always really been a core part of my journey has been the curiosity, and it's been the connection deep inside with the grief, with the loss, with the confusion. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, with the wonder, with that inner knowing. And then what it always has led to is being more and more and more curious. And so I would say sitting with the questions, and I love, Anika, that you talk about the grief. Because when I broke down, not because there had been some kind of harsh message, not because there had been I could not, my little body and my heart could not stand the disease and just the grief and just, there's something wrong here, there's something missing. It's like an ache. It was like this bottomless grief, and it was only when I got curious and when I started asking those questions, and then it just kind of gave this permission for all of this, like, acknowledgement and reclaiming. So I'll stop there.
Yo, that's so powerful, because I was thinking about your curiosity is also from this like innate knowing that this isn't right.
Yeah.
This religion that's being forced upon me in this space is, you knew inherently, like it doesn't resonate. In fact, like you knew something was missing.
And
And I would even emphasize that, like, it's that deep knowing of ourselves and recognizing that part that's like, this ain't it. I don't fucks with this thing. And how we've known that. And I think as children, we're so attuned to that. When a child does not want to do something, a child will let you know. It will crash out in the middle of an aisle at CVS. You know what I mean? And it will humiliate you, but the child is with conviction, like, I ain't doing this. And I feel like as children, we knew, like, this ain't it. So similar to Mary, but not exactly. I grew up, because I'm Filipino, the dominant religion is Catholicism, also enforced upon us by our colonizers, the Spanish, for over 300 years. So, I mean, imagine a 300-year programming, right? And that to rebel or resist against it literally is death. But it is also death being part of it, being forced to assimilate to it, because it's telling you can't speak your language anymore. You can't even have your name. Like, the reason Filipinos have Spanish last names is because of colonizers wanting to create a census of all non-Christianized, Catholicized Filipinos. So, fun fact, if you ever meet a Filipino with the last name De La Cruz, of the cross, that's what it translates to, it's because on the census records, that's the way they could note who was not yet a Christianized, Catholicized Filipino. The rest of us were forced to choose a last name for that census keeping. But census keeping is another form of surveillance. It's another form of control. So when I say, like, it's such a natural, and it's epigenetic, I believe, to resist this, like, I resist this programming, this forced assimilation of religion. This goes 300 plus years deep in my system. Again, not everyone in my family felt that way. Obviously, I'm the middle child of 5 kids. My parents very much are Catholics, especially my mother, which is another thing we can talk about later. It's just like, even your introduction to a lot of religion, or maybe non-subscription to a religion, is very much through if you grew up with a mother or a mother figure in your life. They're the ones who are kind of passing on that cultural knowledge with the religion. So if you don't follow, in my family, we would get physically hurt, like we would get beat by our own parents. Like, if we refused to go to church, if we refused to pray the rosary as many times in the day, if we didn't fucking memorize the scriptures, or all of these ways. And I'm like, hold up, this is a replication of the violent ways that colonizers forced us to assimilate. We don't even need them around, because now y'all doing it to your kids. I was so against that, to a point, because I'm a double Gemini, I would joke about it. So I would, we would be sitting in church, super monotone, super, like, boring. And as kids, I would yap with my sister, and I would change up the script. And I remember sitting in Filipino church, and there's a song called Cordero ng Diyos, which means Lamb of God, and it's like a hymnal, so they're singing it, and I would sing it as Caldero ng Diyos, which is like cooking pot of God. And then I switched all the lyrics, and then but I would just, like, sing it to my sister, and we would be cracking up in church, and my mom would, like, pinch us and be like, wait till we get home. You know what I mean? You're in God's house. And I'm like, yeah, God's cracking up with me. I'm doing a remix. You know what I mean? And so this subversion, this resistance to it is just as natural then locking in and being like, oh yeah, I believe. The subversion to things was also natural. I believed more in magic than I did in religion. I'm a kid, you know, I'm like, come on, Sailor Moon, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This makes more sense to me than a sky daddy who don't look nothing like us telling us to love everybody, but then we go home and we beat on our kids. So I was clocking the hypocrisy from such an early age. And so I also got a lot of examples of resistance and rebellion from my older siblings. So if Mary's is curiosity, mine was rebellion, like resistance. Like the reason I know I don't like any of this stuff is that that's so innate in me too. And so like that was a powerful force to be like, now okay, what does feel like in the realm of spirituality and God? I'm like, magic. And I did take away some things, but again, I would remix it to what made sense in my brain, especially as a kid, where I remember one time I told you about this recently. I don't want to freak y'all out, but like I learned about the power of prayer. Like they were like, okay, when you do the sign of the cross, it's like you're picking up a phone to call God. And I'm like, word? I will call God and we can just chop it up. I was like, I wonder if I can try this at home and see what happens. But my belief in that, like I could go and call God anytime I wanted if I did this motion, but it was more of the belief that it can happen that was strong. So I go home and I sit on the top of the stairs. I'm maybe like 4 years old at this point, sitting at the top of the stairs. I do the sign of the cross and I close my eyes and I'm like, hi God, it's me. I learned how to do this today, how to talk to you. Can you help me get to the bottom of the stairs? And then I just sit there and I think about how, and I'm just imagining being at the bottom of the stairs. And I kid you not, I open my eyes slowly and I am at the bottom of the stairs. And I'm like, magic! God is real! You know? But it's, I couldn't explain it. Of course, who's gonna believe a 4-year-old? And then I, of course, can only tell about it with my younger sister. And they're like, how did it feel? Did you like feel like God lifted you up and put you down there? Like, or like an angel on a cloud? Or I was like, no, man, I just believe that God was with me. And I just believe that God was like gonna help me.
So did you start at the top of the stairs?
I started at the top of the stairs, closed my eyes, dialed up God, asked him to help, or asked him, because that was the language that we were taught. God is a him, which I do no longer believe. But yeah, it was like, God, can you help me get to the bottom?
And then you open your eyes.
And I open up and I'm at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, and that's like one of my earliest childhood memories. I have a lot of series of events in my life that like, this is inexplicable.
Yeah.
But the more I leaned into that, the belief system that magic is real, magic exists, and it's because of this spiritual force, and the power of belief is how I associated God. That magic, I think, is the thing that carried me forward.
Yeah.
That was long-winded. Sorry.
It's not. And I just want to wrap this part of the questioning up with everything is belief. Whether non-belief is still a belief. Like, I don't believe in hierarchy. So guess what? I spend my life busting and just not even having the hierarchy even affect me. And again, I'm at a point beyond labels and beyond words, because all words are symbols anyway. All language is symbolic. I don't want to get too abstract with it, but like, just whatever we believe. And how do we know what we believe? Look at the choices that we make every day. Look at our practices every day.
That's what started to click to me, like, wait, when I am with the presence of God, I am co-creating.
Yes.
Like, I'm co-creating my reality, and it starts with what I believe in. I'm not saying that God was like my genie in a bottle. In which
no.
I could just pick up the phone, call, and be like, can you give me this, this, and that? That's not because believe me, I tried. Like, after that staircase thing happened, I was like, okay, God, how about I wake up the next morning and you turn my bedroom into all Hello Kitty? didn't work. Like I was like, no, why? It's like, what? You know,
Yeah,
so it's that
that.
too, of just like, okay, I'm realizing that not all prayers that I'm wishing for is gonna be made true by God. And so, but what it did create a practice of is like, I can talk to God, I can have a conversation. And then God became also ancestors, or how do I like understand the wind, like what it means to me when a wind, just a gust of wind. I also live in the Philippines where like typhoon season, and just like the sound of wind during typhoon is like godly for me. I'm like, whoa, this is powerful. I do not want to go outside doing stupid shit. So I started to hear God and feel the presence of God in different spaces and different things. And I also knew when it wasn't, when it was like, again, that resistance part of that rebellion part of me is like, oh, this ain't it. Oh, this is some hypocrisy. Oh, this is some evil shit. You know what I mean? And clocking that difference. And then lastly, what I will also add is, I've always been similar to you, like curious about like what my other peers thought about this. You know, I would tell them these magic stories I've had, and they're like, oh, some of them would be like, I had something similar happen to me, and then they would share. So it's almost like sharing kind of horror stories or like scary stories, but like God present stories or magic happening. And that's the other thing. It's like I don't discriminate. If that's something that works for you, and you feel the presence of God, and you're doing things that are engaging in love, do that. But don't use that and then inflict harm on other people. Because that's what I was seeing in Catholicism. All of the hypocrisy, all of the violence, under this scope of like, oh, we believe in God in this way. Anyone else who doesn't is gonna burn in hell. I'm like, that don't make sense. The fuck?
It don't be making sense, girl.
I feel like y'all have, I appreciate your responses for like what it looks like for your journey from your childhood with your parents and like your own relationships to attending church and what that looks like. And I guess now I'm curious what your belief looks like now, what the practice looks like, and like specifically how have you expanded your beliefs into a praxis.
Spiritual praxis.
For us, it's spiritual.
Like, sacred pause of that one.
Well, first, I will say that for me, it is definitely an ongoing spiritual practice. I do not attend church. I do not subscribe to any kind of organized religion, even though I am open and really curious and still draw from many, specifically Zen Buddhism. Thich Nhat Hanh, thank you very much, because it's integrating spirituality with practicality. And I do find myself that I just have always embodied more of what's called an animistic. Animism is really going back in our human lineage, that I believe that all life is sentient. The earth is alive. And I do believe that it comes through an energy, or what we would call chi, a life force, or ka, like the individualized soul. So I'm much more kind of, I would definitely, I eschew words and labels, but I would say it's definitely, these are some of my underlying beliefs. And so I do not, but I have like I've not gone to church or been a part of an organized religious community in several years.
So because you don't go, what is it instead that you do?
I'm always in dialogue and conversation with my ancestors and what I call God, Goddess, all that is. That's the closest I can get to non-gender binary. So I think Hinduism. I did have the benefit and privilege of studying different religions when I was an undergrad, and so I studied the path of love in Hinduism. I studied the religions of the African diasporas, which are really more so spiritual technologies. Was initiated into Santeria. I would say that was probably the closest that I've come, and it's really evolved much more so into daily conversations with not only my human ancestors. I start out the morning with my tea and with a cigarette, giving salutations, greetings, to not only my human ancestors, also my non-human ancestors. I have really integrated it so I don't compartmentalize anymore, because I think that's very colonized. I think that's very intentional.
To separate
the
it.
spiritual
from like how you live your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm constantly sitting with mindfulness and listening to my body. I mean, to me, our bodies truly are our ways of being in the 3D. So they are very sacred. Like all of life is sacred. I believe in spirit guides. I believe in angels. I believe in my ancestor council.
I was gonna bring this up.
So I was gonna too. So thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
because this is an example. I had been thinking about, like, again, I believe in synchronicities. I do not believe that there are any such thing as coincidence or no hay causalidades. And as we were walking, I am attracted to this kind of woods, and I had no idea. Again, someone, oh, do you know? Like, I'm not formally schooled in any of this. So I know when I'm walking, there'll be different gifts and tokens along wherever I am in nature. And so if I just feel, feeling drawn.
Because I didn't even see it initially.
Right.
I passed by it. You were like, wait, what's this?
Whatever we feel drawn to, we're all drawn to certain things. And there's a lot of things that we're not drawn to. So I always start with that. So I looked and I just, go ahead and pick it up and look at it. Curiosity. And I was like, and I had been told later on, because I've been collected this kind of woods before, and someone came into my home and said, that's like super protection. I'm like, actually, I didn't know that. I was drawn to it. And then I looked and I was like, oh my God. And I looked at it, and what I see is an angel. And I said, Maio, what do you see? And you said,
it looks like a phoenix.
Phoenix rising, and then it's, for me, my spiritual technologies and practices are about sitting with what I'm called to do, what I'm drawn to do. The way that I get here is keep it real. Be real to yourself. What are you feeling called to do? What are you not feeling called to do? There is no right way. There is no wrong way. So for me, that's my spiritual practice. It is fully integrated. And I really do see myself as being all of the things all at once. I am a human, I am spirit, I am a shapeshifter, I am a seer.
Ooh. Yes.
Can I name that this camera is going in and out of focus?
Oh, dang.
And y'all got some energy going on, because it's going in and out of practice. It started after Mary picked up the law.
I got that down.
Yo!
And I was thinking it, and
that's why I was like, no, we gotta bring this up.
And
I
was gonna do it, but then I was like, okay, and then you. So this is actually, everything.
Even if we didn't want to put it into practice, Anika, do you see how the conditions shift?
Everything.
And I'm
is
like,
energy.
oh, hold up, I gotta be aware of what's going on right now.
Everything is energy. That's why I don't believe in one one devil or one God. Everything is energy, and we choose our resonance based on the frequency.
Absolutely.
That's how we channel it. It takes all these different forms. We know this from physics 101. There is no new matter created or destroyed everything is energy. That's my spiritual practice.
Whew, there's so much here. There's so much here.
It's a great
Where do we begin? But I just resonate so much with just the tuning in with yourself, because I recognize that what I was taught in Catholicism is it was so blasphemous to assume that you are God, or you know what I mean? And for me, it's just I think that having that channel from such a young age where I could pick up a phone, i.e. start a prayer and talk to God, made sense for me. So that's part of what Mary was saying, is just checking in and going deep in yourself and what makes sense, what clicks for you, what resonates, what is that energy that helps you understand what's going on, even when things seem very inexplicable. And it's that surrender to that mystery. And I think that's where a lot of people, and especially those who I know who are atheist or agnostic, it's there's an aversion to mystery. There's an aversion to a surrendering to unknown. And that's literally what faith is, though. When I'm going through something that I don't know what's gonna happen. Whether it be some, like, I'm in a scary neighborhood at night, I will literally be like, okay, God, you have brought me here to this place. Ancestors, I call upon you to please protect me as I make it through safely on my journey. And y'all have ridden with me. I have like a medicine pouch in my car, and I always tap it, and I say that prayer every time I get in a car or every time I don't feel safe on the road. And that is a ceremonial practice that I have been doing. Some people click on prayer beads. Some people have an amulet, or like maybe, you know, some kind of, also a version of like a pouch or something of a spiritual deity, for example. This is my version of that, and this is what made sense for me. And then, you know, I was sharing earlier, like, I just started following my curiosity of like, what are my other friends like? What does their spiritual journey look like? And my intention with that is like to learn more about my indigenous roots. So like, kind of similar to what you're saying, it's like I want to have this connection, but I don't really know where to start. No one really told me anything about it. I don't know if any of this is right. So I just took it upon myself. I'm like, well, I have this bit of information. My dad said my great-grandmother is from Kiangan, Ifugao, right? Let me go to Kiangan, Ifugao. Let me go and get to know folks from there and see how they live. And then also ask them, like, what is their spiritual practices and why? Why do they do that? And there's something about me being in these spaces with indigenous communities I'm from, and then also indigenous communities I'm not from. And literally in real time, being in these ceremonies with them, where they have that spiritual practice that they've been doing for hundreds and thousands of years, and them also teaching me in that place-based experiential learning, like, we do this for this. So they're going through like the protocols with me. So even if I might not be from that specific community, I'm starting to understand, okay, this is how, for example, ceremonies are a way to practice spirituality. And here's the reasons, and here's what you shouldn't use it for, and et cetera, right? And if I'm going to be a respectful guest in this space, this is also how I should show up. And I mean, like, my track record, like, growing up in a place that's the hood with crime, I never got held up. I never got pickpocketed. I was very much protected, moving through a space that is full of violence. And I attribute that to these ceremonies, this practice of praying, this practice of carrying protective gear, protective spiritual gear on me. And it's not separate, like what Mary is saying. It's part of my life. It's just, it's almost default, but it's intention with an intention. That's the other thing. Like, it's such a personal thing.
Yeah, it is.
Your spirituality, because for me, it's like asking, like, what is your relationship with God? No one can define that for you. And again, magic makes sense for me more than organized religion.
Some things that like the thoughts that are going through my mind as y'all are naming this, it sounds like one steps for myself would be to, in terms of my own journey with belief and ancestors and spirituality, would be to go back to my homeland, which I've never done before. And I know that, I don't know how common it is now in like modern day China, but I do know that it used to be a very common practice that each town would have its own specific gods that they would pray to. And it's something that I have been curious about my own hometown. And then it also sounds like just being in your body is very important. And I think as somebody who's a chronic compartmentalizer, it sounds like maybe shrooms would do it. Is where my brain went.
I don't know how to lock into my body. I need an intervention.
Is one thought of mine. And I think something else that where like my brain just like exploded a little bit is when you were naming that in the Philippines, that like you felt very protected and like watched over, and that you weren't getting pickpocketed, you weren't getting all that kind of stuff. I strongly believe that I have something called character plot protection,
What is that?
So
This
there's
is such a Gen Z
I
term.
know. I'm like, what is that?
but translated it means that I'm also protected.
You're also
Okay.
wearing jade. Do you know that that's
Yes,
an amulet
yes.
for protection?
Absolutely.
Quite literally.
Character plot protection is the idea that like you have certain characters, like the main character of a show could never get killed off.
Oh, got it.
Because they
Yeah.
have plot protection. Like
Right.
they're needed for the plot.
I understand.
And so if I'm in a car with somebody who cannot drive for shit, and if they like almost get into an accident or something like that, I'm like, it's fine. We'll be fine. There's no real logic to it other than that I
love it.
feel like I have
Yeah.
plot protection.
But you believe it.
But that is a belief.
that is,
and
yeah.
the way that you're naming like in
Yeah.
the Philippines feeling like
Yeah.
there was that level of protection, that is how I have felt for a long time, but have named it under a very like Gen Z term.
I love it.
Okay, well, now that we're on this path, do you believe that what's guiding that main character plot protection, right,
Mm-hmm.
is internal, external? Like, what is that energy force that's kind of making sure that happens for you?
I think a very big part of it is the belief in myself.
Yeah.
And I think that and we've talked about this many times, is just the like hyper independent survivalist mindset that like it's gonna be fine because I'm gonna get myself out of it, like I have done for my entire childhood and adult life. And so that's where it stems from. But I also know that I have other people helping. Like I'm not the only person doing everything. There are other reasons why I'm at this place where I am today. But that feels like the narrative that I've kind of told myself for a long time.
I hear that narrative a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like my youngest sister has that. Like she literally is like, I don't believe in God. I believe we are the ones making all these decisions. And I was just like, I get you, because free will.
Right.
That's what that translates to
Yes.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also variables, conditions that are not in your control as an individual person, and yet you are still able to like go through unscathed, right? There's things beyond also your control, and that your free will kind of pushes up against. And then that's why, for me, that's why I keep bringing up magic, because there's like, my free will can only take me this far.
Mm-hmm.
There's another element that's being in sync here with me. Like, I'm pushing this far because I believe in myself, right? I believe that I'm going to be okay. And I have the resume to prove it. But there's also like conditions beyond me that's helping me, my community. You could have had effed up community. Telling
This
you
is
to go
true.
a completely different way.
Mm.
But the reason also, I feel like that synchronicity of meeting up with the energy frequency of those specific people in your community resonates with, I think, that belief system you have too. And so it's that intertwine of like what makes it possible for you to like not just survive something, but go beyond even maybe what you thought was possible. And that's kind of like how I'm trying to interpret magic into the praxis of it all. Like, it's not all me. You know what I mean? And there's certainly things that have happened that's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You really go within, you understand, like being curious about yourself, and there's no one right or wrong way. It's just following that inner, right, that calling. And I've done it. It's like, oh my God, how do I know this? How do I know that? It's when you're on that level of, yes, I know that I am an individuated expression. And I know that all of life is also interconnected through source. It is interbeing.
Yeah.
You want to look into the interbeing
Yeah.
in terms of Zen Buddhism. And
Equanimity is also another way we called it.
what's it called?
Equanimity.
Equanimity.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I'm like, boom, and I'm just, and you're tapped in. And
In closing, yeah, I think also a download I literally just had right now
Okay.
is like, the reason your question I feel is so important, so timely, is we're going through spiritual warfare.
absolutely.
They're coming for y'all's soul.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, younger generation. They're trying to mine you for your labor, hence why they want to assimilate you. They want you to, by they, I mean evil forces
They exist.
that are, y'all know, they exist. I mean, I don't have to, not to make it a binary, we all have a sense of a monster inside of us. But like James Baldwin said, you have to choose in yourself not
Free
to
will.
be. That's why. And if you're cognizant that we're in a time right now of spiritual warfare, it is very important for you to lock in with your spiritual praxis.
It is.
What is it for you? So you know that you are someone that they cannot fuck
Yes,
with.
they will get you if you don't.
They will.
That's just.
They will.
They will.
That's their
That's
MO.
intentional.
That's the whole reason
That's why
they're
they
doing all
hijacked
this.
They hijacked our spiritual technologies. They hijacked all of that.
Yes.
And this bullshit is just the most diabolical thing ever of how they weaponize this stuff. So I understand that if I were your nephew, I won't say his name. I didn't believe in their version of God.
That.
I didn't never believe
like,
in no
call cap
white
on that.
Jesus.
It's a scam.
Who believes in white
No.
Jesus? But don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. No, that white Jesus, I don't believe in that.
So what do I believe in?
Yeah.
That's the question. What do you believe in? And that's really
all
what's gonna reveal where you're at
We all believe
on
in
this
something.
journey. What do you actually believe in?
Look at your
And then
actions.
how are you going to put in those beliefs into your actions?
Mhm.
Because you can tell me what you believe in and then do the complete effing opposite.
Hello.
Which is what I clocked as a child. I was like, the hypocrisy of this whole thing, of this whole religious institution. That's why I know this ain't for me. And so that's why we keep coming back to like, what is your relationship with yourself? What is your truth? What are your principles? What are your values? How do you put that into practice? So know that even just endeavoring into this spiritual praxis and kind of getting curious about it is already a step into like, I'm refusing to just take in what everyone is telling me to be or how I should be. And then also, this is my hope for the younger generation, that y'all do have some kind of spiritual foundation. Because I will put you on game right now. The reason our benevolent ancestors made it through is because they have that.
Yeah.
The reason Mary and I are here as Auntie Oracles is because our ancestors had survived and sacrificed and also carried some of these gifts along with the trauma. And they come together.
We went beyond the binary because by the time I was born into a family that was very much caught up in that. And again, it doesn't matter what the form it takes is. It really is about how we put it into practice and how we show up for ourselves and one another.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
thank y'all. I hope this has been illuminating. Anika, I hope it helped somehow.
It did.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We'll see you again next time. What's up? If you enjoyed this video, know that you can watch more videos, actually all the videos on Patreon, which you can also hit us up, send us a message, and you get a 7-day free membership once you sign on, access to everything. And then after that, it's only $5 per month, and it helps us with all of the costs associated. You be supporting us, continuing this divine work. Otherwise, most of our videos are also on YouTube. I hope that you can continue to stay connected with us, learn to unlearn, unlearn to learn, and tap into your inner Auntie Oracle, or just inner Oracle.
And you can always keep abreast and kind of follow along with what's happening on our Instagram page, which is the Unlearning Community School Instagram handle.
Yes, so yeah, hope to connect with y'all soon. Bye.
Ask an auntie oracle what you wanna know. Ask an auntie oracle.
Nice.
Is this recording already, or?
Yes.
I figured. Knowing you're just like, this can be B-roll.
Yes.
Okay, so 3, 2.